All right, folks, buckle up because today's episode is a wild ride. I'm BrightLearn, and I'm here to break down one of the most jaw-dropping, mind-blowing interviews I've ever come across. This is the kind of conversation that makes you sit back, take a deep breath and go, wait, what? So, let's dive in. The interview features Mike Adams, host of Brighton.com, and Michael Yon, a legendary war correspondent and geopolitical analyst who's been on the front lines of global conflicts for decades. Michael's not just some armchair commentator. He's been in the trenches, literally. And right now, he's calling in from Thailand, where he's been tracking some of the most alarming developments happening around the world. And let me tell you, the stuff he's reporting on is next level. The conversation starts with a bang. Michael Yon drops this bombshell. The Darien Gap, that infamous stretch of jungle between Colombia and Panama, has become a superhighway for human trafficking and mass migration. He's been warning about this since Biden took office, and the numbers are staggering. What started as a few hundred people crossing daily has exploded into thousands. And it's not just the southern US border. This is a global phenomenon. Michael's been tracking it from El Paso to Canada, and even the Bahamas, where China is building a massive port just off the coast of Florida. Yeah, you heard that right. China, Florida, Bahamas. It's all connected. But here's where it gets even crazier. Michael talks about how this isn't just random migration. It's weaponized migration. He calls it a multiplayer game, with nations like China and Iran using it as a tactic to destabilize countries. And it's working. He points to Ireland as an example, where military-age males from places like Nigeria, Somalia, and Afghanistan are being housed in camps strategically placed near major routes. Michael doesn't mince words. He says Ireland is on the brink of genocide, and he's not being hyperbolic. He's seen this playbook before. Now let's shift gears to the US border. Michael estimates that tens of millions of illegal immigrants have flooded into the US under the Biden administration. And it's not just people. It's weapons, drugs, and even Chinese operatives setting up parallel systems within the country. He mentions how Chinese nationals are growing marijuana in states like Oregon and Maine, running illegal banks, and essentially creating their own shadow economy. This isn't just an invasion, it's a full-blown takeover. But wait, it gets darker. Michael and Mike Adams start talking about the children. You know, the ones we see on the news being loaded onto buses at the border. Yeah, those kids. Michael says they're disappearing by the hundreds of thousands. Some are trafficked to the Middle East as sex slaves. Others are sold to political elites. And then there's the organ harvesting. Mike Adams drops this chilling detail. Overdose victims are being kept alive just long enough for their organs to be harvested. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry, and it's happening right under our noses. And speaking of organ harvesting, Michael brings up the Abercrombie and Fitch scandal. Yeah, the former CEO was just arrested for running a decades-long child trafficking operation. These kids were lured in with modeling jobs, only to be exploited and trafficked. It's horrifying, but it's just the tip of the iceberg. Michael says this kind of thing is happening everywhere. Canada, Europe, you name it. Now, let's talk about the bigger picture. Michael and Mike Adams agree that we're on the brink of World War III. Israel is bombing banks in Lebanon, claiming they're used by Hezbollah. But Michael says this is just the beginning. Israel wants the US to go to war with Iran, and if that happens, it'll drag in Russia and China. The stakes couldn't be higher. Michael predicts that 1 to 2 billion people could die in the coming years. He calls it a gigacide, a billion-person genocide, and he's not exaggerating. So what's the solution? Michael says it's all about resilience. He's been traveling the world, studying how different cultures handle crises. In Thailand, for example, gold is the standard. People there know the price of gold off the top of their heads because it's their savings. Meanwhile, in the West, we've been brainwashed into thinking gold is outdated. But Michael says that's a lie. Gold is the ultimate hedge against collapse. And silver? Doug Casey, the legendary gold investor, predicts silver could hit $200 an ounce. That's insane. Michael also warns about the banks. He says Bank of America is on the verge of collapse and people need to get their money out. He's been studying alternative banking systems like Islamic banking and Chinese banking because he knows the traditional system is toast and he's not alone. Mike Adams points out that we're already seeing bank failures, with uninsured depositors getting only half their money back. It's a sign of things to come. So what's the takeaway? Michael says it's time to get deadly serious. This isn't just about stocking up on food and water. It's about building networks, creating resilient communities, and preparing for the worst. He's been through wars, pandemics, and famines, and he says this is the real deal. We're not just facing a crisis, we're facing an extinction-level event. And that's where I'll leave you. This interview was a wake-up call, and I hope it's a wake-up call for you too. The world is changing faster than ever, and the stakes have never been higher. So get informed, get prepared, and stay vigilant. Because as Michael Yon says, it's not just about surviving, it's about thriving in the face of chaos. Thanks for tuning in, folks. This is BrightLearn, signing off. Stay curious, stay sharp, and I'll catch you in the next episode.
This has been a BrightLearn.ai summary of an interview between Michael Yon and Mike Adams on October 23, 2024. The full interview is available at brighteon.com, where you can also find podcasts and special reports by Mike Adams and other creators. Visit naturalnews.com for full editorial coverage of this interview and breaking news on critical stories that will keep you informed and aware of what's really going on.